Hello, and I'm really happy to talk with you. And shall we start?
Mm.
All right.
Sorry, I'm having a drink. Yes, please.
All right. First of all, thank you for letting me do this interview because it's an honor for me to talk to one of the greatest guitarists from New Album movement, in my opinion. And first of all, let's start with this New Album thing. We are celebrating the 40 years of new wave of British heavy metal movement that exploded at the start of the 80s in 1979, 1980, and many bands are adding now some rare songs to their shows to commemorate their beginnings. And do you have plans to include some unique songs to your setlist for that occasion?
In the live set, we do play 3 or 4 songs from the Wildcat album anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But on the B side of the new single, White Lines, is a new recorded version of Don't Touch Me There, which was our first single in 1979.
Oh.
So it's 40 years old this year, Don't Touch Me There. And what we did was, there are 4 guitar solos on there. So I play the first one, Fred Purser plays the second one, Mick plays the third one, and Soren Anderson plays the 4th guitar solo.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's quite a celebration of that song.
Yeah.
And we play Don't Touch Me There live.
Oh, that's really nice. And I think I even have this original single from those times. I don't remember because I have quite big collection. But I know that I have some singles from the very beginnings on 7-inch vinyl.
Yeah, good.
Alright, and speaking of new album stuff, thanks to the internet we are able to find many bands from these times who were playing during when new album exploded, and we have bands like Virtue or Jaguar, and they became known because of the internet, and some bands not only from Great Britain but also from United States came back, reunioned, and still are playing. And we know some bands, but could you recommend maybe some bands you remember you've shared the stage with during the early years of Tygers that didn't make to major labels or recorded a single or only an EP?
Oh gosh, bands that supported the Tygers. There's probably been lots of them.
For example, saw some names that weren't that big and didn't manage to be, let's say, as big as you because you released so many albums, and some bands released a single and that's all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a band that came on tour with us called Taurus. They were pretty good. Who else? Titan. They opened up for us on a big tour. There was a band called Alcatraz. Not the Alcatraz with Ingrid Malmsteen and Graham Bonnet, but there was a British band called Alcatraz.
Oh. I have to search it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Crikey, that's about all I can recall at the moment.
All right, still some new stuff to me for searching and listening. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And speaking of your discography and your newest album, because you are releasing your newest album Ritual at the end of the November, and I've already heard this album and I really got into some of songs since from the first listening, and that's impressive for me because not every band can do this, that I'm listening their new stuff for the first time and wow, I remember the song. But I'm not talking about my favorite, but what's your favorite song of this album and why? From which song are you proud mostly?
Oh, all of them. It's like asking you to choose which your favorite child is.
Well, that's kind of true.
No, I couldn't. if I was to play you the CD, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say to you, oh, listen to this track. I think this is particularly good. But honestly, they're all. We are so proud of this record and how it's turned out. All the songs are all huge.
Right. So I did an interview with Chris Impelteri some time ago, and so did he said about that. He said that same thing about the new Impelteri record, that he can't pick one, and I understand that.
Yeah, good.
All right. And speaking of a new album, do you already have plans for shows for upcoming tour? And are you planning to include Poland? Because you were here, I think, 2 years ago on Metal Mania Festival and 10 years ago at Club Show. And what songs would you prepare for us from the newest album?
Look, yeah, we're rehearsing at the moment, and in the new set is White Lines, which is the current single. Damn You, which is going to be released on the 25th of this month, which is going to be the second single, and Destiny, which is going to be the third single.
Oh, that's nice. Damn You is one of my favorites from this album, I can say.
Which one, sorry?
Damn You, yes.
Right, okay. Fantastic, yes.
Alright, so any chances to see you in Poland? Because, for example, I'm going to see Praying Mantis on November, so maybe also Tygers of Tang soon.
Yeah, we're looking at playing in Poland, hopefully early next year to the middle of next year. We're out playing with Saxon in Dusseldorf in March.
Oh, that's nice.
So we'll see if we can do some more shows, at the same time.
Oh, that's nice. So I hope we can manage to do something with this and invite you to Poland. And speaking of these previous shows in Poland, do you have any interesting memories connecting with your stay in Poland with these shows you played?
I'll tell you what I do remember. I remember that the Polish people were extremely friendly and kind to us. It's always a pleasure to play when you haven't played somewhere for a long time. And Poland is a lovely country anyway. So we are looking forward to coming back and doing at least a couple of shows, in the major cities.
Oh, so good to hear that. I will work on that and try to do something with it.
Okay.
Great. And you were in Poland, but do you have any one place or even country where you would love to play, but you still weren't able to do this?
The Tigers are playing more and more places that they've never ever played. So, next year we're already going to play a big festival in Mexico City, at the racetrack. We're playing a big festival in Madrid in June. I think we're off to Australia in October next year. So there's all sorts of things are happening. I would quite like to play in Moscow. Actually, I've never been there to play, and I think I would quite like that. And I'd also like to play in Iceland.
Oh, but that's quite nice choices, I can say.
But yeah, Poland's definitely there on the list to play because it's such a lovely country. And I'm going to pronounce the cities wrong, so I apologize. But is it Katowice?
Yes, Katowice. There was a Metal Mania there.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic place. Love it.
Oh, that's nice. I was in England like 2 or 3 weeks ago because my friends were playing their farewell show, and I think going to some places which are really different is a quite nice thing. So when you mentioned Russia and Iceland, I totally understand it because it's a different climate, different culture. So
yeah, absolutely. and that's it's nice occasionally to step out of your comfort zone and just do something a little bit experimental, a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree, and see some much more different stuff that you are used to see, feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and the next question. Let's imagine that you don't have any time limit, even you can't become tired, etc. If you were able to include one song from any band or even from your discography in your setlist that you haven't played for a long time or even you have never ever played during shows, what it would be?
What would it be? I think You Always See What You Want to See from the Cage album. I think that will be a great song to play live. And certainly for 35 years, we haven't played Fire Clown, so that might be quite a nice song to play from the Wildcat album. But who knows? Watch this space. We may well do these.
Well, maybe on some kind of anniversary you will play the whole album. Who will know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to learn it first.
Well, it's been so many years that... So... Yeah, revising old stuff, it's not that easy as it can...
It isn't. It isn't, no. And it sometimes, when we're in the rehearsal room, and if we're if we dust off an old song to play live again, quite often, I'll turn to Mick and I'll say, "How does this song go?" And you look at him and you say, "Well, you wrote the riff." And I'll say, "Yeah, but that was a long time ago. You'll have to learn it and show me."
Yeah, well, you can compose 200 songs and you don't even know most of them because you played it so really long ago. I understand it. All right, and we spoke a little bit about obscure bands from the 80s, and on the other hand, we have now we have an internet and we have explosion of young bands who relate to 80s metal like Skullfist, Enforcer, Striker. Even in Poland we have bands like Roadhog, X Crazy, Aquila, I can name many more. But what do you think about bands from the, let's say, new wave of traditional heavy metal wave, because it's called right now like this? Is it a good move to bring back a style that was great in the 80s and play like these bands?
Yeah, well, yeah. If the audience is there, absolutely. I think we have now the advantage of technology advancing forward. So I think the sounds of a live band in 2019 will sound better than a live band in 1979 because the equipment has got better.
Yeah, that's true, and it's much more easier. It's lots easier to record and release stuff. So because you can be your own company.
Yeah, you can literally. And if you have a mobile phone, you've got a mobile recording studio. It's dead easy, in this day and age.
I agree, because I know so many bands. We can look like what was in the 80s, because we have these bands that recorded and demo and that's all. And now bands hire a professional sound engineer, go to the studio and release a CD on their own budget and sell it on the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, 80s metal is not only about new album, thrash and other extreme stuff, because it's the, I think, major stuff in Poland that we love classic heavy metal when we listen to rock and metal, or either classic heavy metal or extreme stuff, because we have these black metal bands like Behemoth, Weir and all extreme stuff. But in the 80s we also had hair metal and adult-oriented rock, AOR. And do you like this kind of playing, and do you have any favorite bands? Because I'm really into this kind of playing.
Oh yeah, I love all that kind of stuff. You know, bands like Rat and Trickster and all, you know, all the Bullet Boys, all that kind of stuff. I love all that stuff.
Wow, that's great, because we have a pretty small but still movement in Poland, because we have bands like, for example, White Highway, who are playing strictly the music inspired by the 80s, and last Saturday we had an event called Still of the Night, where White Highway and many other artists were playing 2.5 hours of songs from the 80s, and it was great to hear some rare stuff when it comes to Polish industry, like Dokken, because Dokken or Twisted Sister is not playable in the radio for today.
Oh, all right, okay.
So it's great to hear that somebody is still listening, and I think Trickster, wow, this band is not that well known, and you mentioned it, so I'm really happy. I'm really happy that somebody knows them. Well, Great Britain is quite the other thing when it comes to music industry and popularity of these bands.
The guitar player from Trickster has stood in Def Leppard.
I remember this. Yes, he replaced.
Yeah, well, because the guitar player had cancer, didn't he?
Yeah, I remember this action some time ago. Yes, there was this kind of situation. All right, so I think we are coming to the end, but I have the question like this: if we have two situations. You can pick any band from the 80s, from the 90s, whatever, that you would like to take as a support. It can be bigger or a smaller band, and on the other hand, you can support any band. So, which bands would you pick up? One, as you are a support, and the second option, you are a headliner and you pick one band. It can be any of them.
Okay, well, back in 1980, Van Halen were coming into the UK and they were looking for a support act, and I asked the record company whether the Tygers could open up for them, and the record company said no, because we've booked you into the studio to start recording Wildcat. And I said, can we not put Wildcat back, just because they're coming in for 10 days and I think they did 7 shows. I said, can we not put it back for 10 days? And they said, no, it's booked, you're doing it. And I think Girls' School actually opened up for them. And I always wanted to do that, so it would have been great to play with Van Halen back then, at their height.
Yeah, I agree.
To open up for them, I think that would have been really something. So that's something that actually did happen to the Tygers. To be on another band's bill, probably AC/DC, probably beyond that bill, because they're such an incredible tour de force. The amount of people that they attract just would be amazing to play in front of 100,000 people. I don't know. It's I've played to 42,500 people, but so I'm looking to play to more than that. Hopefully, maybe in Mexico City next year, because that has a capacity of 50,000. So we'll see.
Whoa, that's quite huge amount.
Yeah.
All right, and at the end, do you know any Polish bands, not only by name but also for their music? Did you hear any of Polish hard and heavy bands?
No, I have to say I am lacking in knowledge of Polish heavy metal. I do apologize.
Alright, so I can send you later in a chat a link to one. I did a small compilation of younger bands that didn't manage to be bigger, so you can check them out. Especially if you like some 80s hard and heavy, because we have still have some quite nice bands there. And at the end of the ends, if you were dinosaur from the past, would you be a carnivore or herbivore, and why?
Carnivore, because I love fillet steak. So if I was a carnivore and I was eating meat, I would only eat the nice bit of meat of an animal, rather than the legs or the arms. I would eat the fillet part of the animal.
All right. All right. So I think that's all by now. Thank you very much for this conversation. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to talk with you, to joke a little bit. And I hope we'll meet soon in Poland or somewhere else on your show.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. I'll speak to you very soon.
Hope so. Thank you very much, and we'll stay in contact.
Absolutely. Yes, please. See you soon.
See you. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye.